Well, me praying. Oh, hello. Right. I think we'll get going. We'll see how many more people filter in at the end. I know the keynote was running over, so hopefully we get some more. Welcome to my talk, Flutter, Flutter, Flutter. I'm just going to be introducing what's new in Flutter and a few side notes as well. My name's Simon Lightfoot. I've been developing Android now for about 13 years, and this is my support group. So I want to do a quick hands up. How many of you have tried Flutter already? Okay, so you're in the right room, and this is the room you want to stay in all day. So, so what we're going to talk about is Flutter 2.5 and Dart 2.14. These are the new releases that have just come out. I want to cover a couple of topics that people might have missed from their announcements. Also, what's coming up in the next release. So I've kind of gone for a deep dive through the repo and figured out what's happening soon. So stay tuned. And also what's coming up in the next couple of days here at the event. We've got a lot of great speakers joining us. So these are some of the stats. 4,600 issues closed, 3,932 PRs merged, 252 contributors and 216 reviewers. It's really kind of interesting because as an open source project, we really get the contributions from the community, and it's the only way it's going to work because there's only so many hands, right? And there's a lot to be done. So we value everyone's contributions. Now, I am, just a caveat, I am not working for the Flutter team. I'm a Flutter community leader, person, helper, contributor. And what's kind of interesting about some of these is that there was 530 framework PRs, 474 from the team, and 412 from tooling, and then the rest are contributions. So there's actually a lot here that is from the community. Some of the... Okay, it's going to do that. Some of the new features. There's a number of important... I'm just going to go through this. This was not my plan. There we go. So you can read the slides. I'm not going to go through the slides. But some of the interesting performance improvements and new features, there's a couple of things I want to cover. Metal support. So there was some jank problems on iOS. That's now been solved. I know that's probably not of interest to many people here because it's an Android conference, but it's one of the important things that has been picked up by the community. So really want you to try and recompile the latest versions, see how it performs on iOS. One of the new features is Flutter full screen support. What that means is that you're going to get the lean back, sticky immersive, and edge-to-edge modes of Android available under the System Chrome class. So now you can actually have your UI go behind the navigation bar at the bottom of the screen. Really nice for that kind of immersive app feel when you're scrolling through lots of content. There's actually part of the new Material U implementation, which is called V3 in the SDK. Just to be clear, it's Material U. That actually has a new material state called scrolled under, which means you can have your UI react to when something scrolls under your widget or your new piece of UI. So material state is the new mechanism that allows you to adjust your UI or your colors or your theming based on any one of the material states. So hover, focus, all that kind of good stuff. There's also material banner support in Scaffold. That's the banners that come down from the top instead of snack bars that come up from the bottom. And there's also vast improvements to the camera, image picker, and we now have the Community Plus plugins as first-party plugins now that take over from some of the original plugins managed by the Google team. So some of the performance improvements. I've lost the mouse. Let's see if we can go through this. No, that's it. Performance improvements. I did speak about some of these briefly, but the performance to the shader warm-up is quite key. So it's one source of jank that, as you can see here, I don't know if you can see that in the chart, but the red lines are kind of insurmountable. That's the new level that we're looking at. So it's a huge decrease, a huge performance boost. We've also got reduced latency between the sending of messages between Dart and the native platform. This also does cover one of the interesting things, which is the asynchronous processing of events on the main thread, so the coroutine, the way coroutines work and scheduling in Dart. Network file system, plugins and isolates and all that kind of good stuff would possibly interrupt animations. So you might get that kind of skipped frames every so often if you're doing a very heavy like JSON parsing in the background or something like this. That's now been solved. So what they've actually done is they've created a new type in the event loop which specifically handles UI and those background tasks separately, so it can actually increase the scheduling priorities for the UI, so you no longer get that kind of jank that occurs, which is really nice. I need to race through this because we only have a limited amount of time. So Dart 2.14. So some of the points here, Apple Silicon support. That's about developing on Apple Silicon as well as deploying on Apple Silicon. There's still a lot more to do to get even better support on Metal, but we can now do that first party without having to go through Rosetta. We've got new code formatting support on the Cascade operator, which is actually quite handy because there's some situations where it was really kind of annoying. Pub ignore, triple shift, that's a logical unsigned shift rather than the arithmetic shift of the double arrow. New lints, and now the pedantic package is now deprecated in favor of Flutter lints package. Let's see if I can, yeah, there's quite a lot in the Dart release. At the very first, when the slides go out, you can find there's a Medium post by Chris Sells, which covers, and there's one by Michael Thompson, both which cover Flutter and Dart, and all of this in a lot more detail. So what's coming up in the next release? So this is coming soon, TM, right? There's a new tooltip visibility widget, nice and handy. Automatic multi-deck support. So I've been an advocate for this for a while because as soon as you start adding some of the native libraries and plugins, you hit that multi-dex limit. And it's really annoying, especially for people that don't come from an Android background, to have to deal with that. So that's coming in. Material State, that is the new Material U v3 support for input decorator. The library, the default packages and the tooling is migrating to Gradle 7.02, and the Android Gradle plugin is 7.01. CocoaPods is going up to 1.11.2. Xcode 3 will now be the minimum recommended version for your Flutter apps. This is a big one for I think for quite a few people. The Dart plugin class. So when you're writing plugins on Android and iOS, you have to write them in Kotlin or Java for Android, or Xcode and Objective-C. You can't write your plugins in Dart, which is actually kind of handy. There's several situations where that's quite handy. At the moment, Dart plugin class is only supported on web, and this will bring support to Android and iOS, and then we'll soon be seeing that on desktop as well. And then there's also rich text support, rich message support for tooltips that allow us to put widgets and other things into tooltips. So previously it's just text only. There's quite a bit to get through, so apologies. I haven't started my timer, so sorry. Elevate button, outline button, text button all now support on hover and on focus callbacks. So that's great for desktop support. Snapping to draggable scrollable sheet, which I've been wanting for a while. There's new Material U v3 navigation bar component. There's some changes to that. It is actually spec'd out. Maybe I can bring up a link to that in a minute. Text fields are getting a click behavior. There's nice little things. Data reel widgets getting an on long press callback. Web support for the camera plugin, which is what we've been looking for a while, so that's great. And there's a new text editing Delta support for Android. This allows for easier editing of large text files, basically. So when you're editing a large text widget, at the moment it has to send the entire contents back and forth across the boundary, which can get laggy if you're dealing with lots of text. So the text editing Delta solves that. I don't know why that's come up like that, but it's all right. We've also got custom alignment dialogues. I was actually caught out by this one recently, and this is coming up in 2.6 or above. We might be seeing 2.8 as the next release. Has string support for limiting clipboard notification on Android 12. So Android 12 has new privacy notification to the user. So at the moment, if you compile, it's really annoying. At the moment, if you compile a Flutter app and target Android 12, API level 31, it will pop up with a notification saying the app has copied the clipboard, because the app reads the clipboard, the Flutter reads the clipboard to determine if it's empty or not, to display a paste icon to the user when they right-click on or long press on a field. It just uses it to determine if it's empty or not, because the user doesn't know that, so they see, oh my God, the app's copied all my private content that I've put on my clipboard, which can freak people out. So they've actually updated that now, so it actually just checks the content using a different API, solving the problem. That's in 2.6. If you want to, you can actually compile your apps against 2.6 pre-14, I think it is, or pre-11, and that will mean that you get this in your current build. But you may have other bugs. It's not stable. There's also now support for multiple scroll bar shapes, which is quite handy, especially when it comes to desktop and other platforms. And then we have this set of, there's a couple of new lints in here, but also some that are now applied to the Flutter itself and the framework and the tools. So we're going to get all-round better experience. I may have gone a bit too quick, we'll see. What's coming up over the next couple of days? I do want to cover this. So this room, Liskov, will be covering all of the Flutter talks, apart from one. That's the end of today. That's Chris Sells. He'll be in Hopper. Hopper is the remote room because he's in America. So we've got some great speakers. Remy's in here next. And then we've got Dominic talking about animations. We've got some people from Microsoft, Andre and Andrew, talking about foldable layouts. And then some guys from Betterment who have been working with Flutter for some time, and they'll be talking about is Flutter the Coke Zero of the mobile world, and then we'll be hearing from Chris Sells again in the Hopper about building a custom router for Navigator 2. There is some more talks tomorrow, and what I would want all of you to do is drop by the Flutter booth, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. And we'll be doing a Flutter raffle giveaway. So we'll want your names and email addresses and to agree to GDPR and all that fun stuff. And then we'll do at the panel, which will be happening end of day tomorrow in here. We'll announce the winners. We'll do a randomization thing on hopefully on the screen if it works, and we'll pick up the winners. The beginner's book is for beginners. So if you don't class yourself as a beginner, don't put yourself down for that raffle, because you won't get what you want from that book, right? But if you want the plushie, it's up for grabs. And I think that's it. There'll be a bunch of us around. We'll be wearing some Flutter T-shirts, and we're giving them away at the stand. Come grab your own. We have ladies' T-shirts as well for those that need it. And feel welcome to follow me on Twitter. Happy to answer questions if we have some time. I know we're kind of running behind the schedule, so hopefully I've kept us on track. Yeah, that's it. That's it for me. Any questions? No? Great. Have I kept us on track? Yeah, great, awesome.